A book review on The Young World. This was a really, really good book. A dystopian actually done right. I've read the Divergent series, The Hunger Games, all the big dystopian books, and I just didn't like them. I couldn't get into them. But this book was actually really good. Because first off, it's in dual perspectives, so you get the two main characters, Donna and Jefferson. And the point of views are split up, like Jefferson's is, normal, and Donna's kind of like the smaller font size. And Jefferson's has like a cool, like, swords crossed, and Donna has a really cool chapter art too, which is, if I can find it, which is like a one dagger thing. And the dual perspectives are actually done right, unlike in Allegiant. You can actually tell, the two separate characters, like who's talking. Also, there's some great action scenes, like there's a sickness that goes around the world, and this book takes place in New York, so there's everyone over 18 is dead because it affects their genetics and the hormones. So there's different gangs in New York. It's really good. Like there's one for the African Americans. There's one for Hispanics. It's a really good book. The gangs do fight. There's really good gangs fighting in this. These are really good action scenes. There's underground, like, marketing, like, deals going on. What else? Forget what their gang is called. Does it say in here? I don't know, but... And there's certain scenes, like there's a library scene where the group goes to a library, like Donna and Jefferson, a little group of 5 go to a library, and turns out, like, they're trying to look for a cure for the sickness, but as it turns out, there's like all these cannibals in the library, and they're trying to, in the library, people are trying to convert the Jefferson's gang, and they almost make them eat human flesh. It's a really gross scene, and there's like a really good action scene after that. There's romance between Donna and Jefferson, the two main characters. It was adorable. I loved it. And like Jefferson was trying to make Donna jealous by getting with another girl, but of course it doesn't work. It's a really cute romance. The plot's kind of generic, there's a sickness, the group's trying to find a cure. It's generic, but it works. I like it. Also, in the book, there's a cage fighting scene where Jefferson actually fights someone to win money, so they can buy, supplies from the underground market. And it goes on for quite a few chapters, but Jefferson eventually wins. It's a really good scene, but the scene before, it's really sad. This book does deal with animal abuse in one scene, and that was really hard for me to read. What else? The ending's really good. There's a character named Brainbox, and he's kind of like the genius of the group. Chris Weitz doesn't really go into too much detail about the character descriptions. And Brainbox, well, obviously it contains spoilers. Brainbox double crosses them at the end, because they find the patient 0 of the guy who got sick, and he's trying to find cures, like try to make all the kids immune before they turn 18. And Brainbox is with the scientist, and Jefferson gets injected, but as it turns out, Brainbox double crossed the head scientist. In the book, they call him the old man, because no one over 18 is supposed to survive, but the guy's like in his 70s. So that was interesting to see a redouble cross. There's also one other character, Peter. He is a gay African American, and he is funny. Like, his whole scene, like when you first meet him, Donna goes into his room back, because in the beginning of the book, the gang's whole hideout is in the, I think it's in where's it, New York Square? Is it? Somewhere around there, and she goes into his room, and he's like, and since there's no internet, he has to make up Facebook. So he pastes all these photos, and he calls it his wall, and he changes the photos around. It's a really funny scene. And Peter has some really good scenes throughout the whole book. I do like this book because there's a lot of connection with the readers. Like, you could connect with this book because of the language the characters speak, and also just like the communication between the interaction between the characters. The ending does leave off on a cliffhanger, so I do have book 2 because I need to know what happens next. I finished this book in 4 days. It was a really, really good book. I stayed up to like midnight or 1 a.m. and I had it finished. It was such a good book. I really like the cover though. And this is once again a dystopian done right. There's so much action. Like, this book is perfect. It has action, it has romance, it has suspense, it has, I mean, the plot's generic, but it works with this book. And there's an underground tunnel, and the gang has to use that. There's gang fights within the tunnel. It's really good. So yeah, I would give this book 5 out of 5 stars, and I would highly recommend it, and I cannot wait to read book 2, The New Order, and review it. So yeah, be sure to like and subscribe.